But, yep, can't tell if I'm cutting in or out of my video. I hope that my voice hasn't dropped out to this point. I've maximized the gains now, so that shouldn't happen any longer. But you know what? Just in case, I'm going to go back and reiterate. Here we go. Everyone's broke now. Congratulations. If you worked forever getting your legendary generator, suck 2 dicks. I hope you guys didn't get rid of your Thors, because you need them to craft this. 2 Thors, 2 still wins. Good luck. All right. Packs, garbage, etc. Maps, garbage. Anyway, back to the tonnage recalculation. Yeah, they're putting it in there. They don't give a shit. They've added a third group. For some reason, 2 weren't enough. So the third is including only 3 wheels. The low clearance, the stallion, and the camber. About to sneeze. Sorry. I think I just scared my cats. Group 2, all other wheels. And group 3 is legs and hovers. So yeah, this is to fuck over legs, because legs are so overpowered. They're not. It's just the Guridias, and the Guridias aren't overpowered. They're only okay, but they're fucking over all legs, so suck it, ML200s. So a lot of builds in Group 3 used to be like augers and ML200s. Those are all invalid. Anyway, they don't care about that. Long story short is, if you combine mix and match between 3 and 2, 3 and 1, you get fucked. That's basically it. You can't do it anymore. They just don't want legs or hovers to be used with anything other than legs and hovers. Moving on. Oh, yeah, and they're like, oh, look at this. You're going to see this orange thing letting you know how fucked you are, where you can't do it. Look at that. It just doesn't work. You don't get those tonnage bonuses. You get nothing. You get dicked on. Anti-wedge mechanics. This is the thing that we mentioned before. Basically, if you ram into someone and you lift their wheels off the ground, they're going to be easier to move. This is, of course, contrary to the plan originally of them making it so it was impossible to wedge people. So now they're bringing wedge mechanics back. They're calling it improvement, but they're basically pulling back on the anti-wedge mechanics, so you can still wedge people, or at least wedge them even better. I mean, wedges never truly went away. The changes to all of the items seems to have come through. Lower mass on the charge, less damage on the Gremlin and Goblin, and less damage resistance on the Gremlin and Goblin. And of course, the Goblin's rate of fire has been reduced to match that of the Gremlin. Capcan nerfed by 1 second, won't change shit. Expanded ammo pack, max increased because you on hovers refused to stop using this shit as armor. Now, just so we're all on the same page, the reason why people are using this as armor, there's people misinterpreted on my previous video, and they're like, oh, they're using it as like anti-wedges and anti-dogs and all this. No, that's not what's happening. Small ammo packs were being used as anti-dog and anti-wedge armor. Expanded ammo packs were being used to protect their guns, because they put them at the far front of their build up high. What would end up happening is scorpions, remember they have to dump all of their damage into a part before passing through, would hit the expanded ammo pack, and because the expanded ammo pack had a very low mass to durability ratio, they just mathed out, because the explosion itself didn't actually damage the build as much as what a scorpion would do. So we were using, well, I wasn't, but they were using it as armor. So they increased the mass, so you can't do that anymore. Miller, nerf, has ammo now. Yep, Guridia. Nerf, 200 less tonnage. Hope you built all your Guridia legs during the event, because now you're going to need at least 1 more on all your builds. The Blight, nerf, 5%, and the distance required is 300 to 500 meters. If I recall correctly, this was going from 40 to 30 instead of a 5% nerf. But yeah, nerf to the Blight, and longer to get your charge, as well as less damage when you finally get it. Astreus, nerf, 10% less damage and 10% less perk damage, and a 20% reload increase. Massive nerf to the Astreus. GL55 impulse. Grenade, they're pulling back on all the stuff that they put forward because it was too good. Cerberus, they added explosive resistance to the, they say, front of the cabin. I'm going to assume that that's very similar to the wedge and the bastion, because again, yeah, resistance to ramage also applies to the front. It says to the front of the cabin. Does this mean that they nerfed? Again, I asked this question during the previous. The Tusk and the Cerberus both have resistance to collision damage, but before it was universal across the entire cabin. Now it's saying only the front for the Cerberus, which is a nerf. Question mark buff for the werewolf no longer produces a fuse drone, produces a Fafnir shotgun drone that you're gonna have to shoot out of your own build to get out of to make use of. We'll see how hilarious that is. Ghost, is no longer loses its damage until you take damage, and then it lasts for 6 seconds afterwards. So this is actually a huge buff to the Ghost. The Caucus nerfed because they hate the Caucus. They don't want it seen anywhere. They see it used, they nerf it. They're like, what? You used it in regular game modes? Nerfed it. Used it in flying game modes? Nerfed it. Remove it from the game, dudes. Just remove it from the game. You don't like the gun. We get it. Tsunami Mammoth, and basically all cannons' reload time comes down to 6 seconds. The Athena nerfed. But number of shots in the burst from 7 to 10. Damage reduced. Damage and heating is reduced by 30%. This is the equivalent. This is a 1-to-1. It means that if you had an Athena pre-nerf and an Athena post-nerf, and you shot something, and when you hit one with 7 shots, you hit the other one with 10 shots, the amount of heating would be identical. However, if I recall correctly, this is so. The way this works with certain damage things, this is a nerf. It's clearly a nerf. Basically, the overall idea is you have to hit them with 10 instead of 7. There are other ramifications from this, but it's not going to change that much. Moving forward, Spark now deals damage instead of not dealing damage. The Apollo 4, durability increased because it was being blown up when compared to the Thor. The Thor had less durability but because the fact it was simply smaller, it wasn't being blown up nearly as much as the Apollo 4. So they increased its durability to try and fix that. Reaper, huge buff. 10 hits, 3 pins of structure penetration on the next shot. And it does not have any change with the mechanics of never overheating. So basically, it's an ammunition minigun with penetration on every 10th shot, which is terrible. This used to be 7-7. They dropped it to 10-3. We'll see if that matters. I mean, this is stronger than it was before, 100%. This is a pure buff to the Reaper. Like, if you had Reapers before, they're now just better, period, but still. Chronos. Charge consumption now stops / doesn't start if there's nothing to restore. So in other words, you can run around with your Chronos charge on. This is the new repairing cabin. You can leave it on at all times now because it will not lose charge as you drive. The Munin, the cooldown time of drones that had the perk active at the time of destruction is reduced by 35%. So the idea is that you get a reload boost in addition to all the other things. The Munin is the medium drone cabin. It is not that good, but when you use the fuse drones, it's great. And if you manage to get your fuse drone to blow up during that time, 35% reload. CC-18 Typhoon reload down to 6 seconds, as with all other cannons. The negative effect of the perk is now 30% instead of 40%. The duration came down. Irrelevant, because the Typhoon's perk is dog ass. They nerfed it into the ground. I mentioned that in the previous. Helcon, they changed it to distance travel instead of flight time. This is because people would fuse stuff for faster flight time, which means that they would have less likelihood of engaging their perk. Flash, same as Spark, deals damage now instead of not dealing damage. Fires less often. It's not a debuffer anymore. I mean, it is a debuffer, but it's not supposed to be as big as a debuffer any longer. Ripper, because of the fact that things with collision resistance were able to resist Ripper damage. Ripper got a huge buff, so they can now tear through things that have collision resistance, instead of just changing the damage type for some reason. And fixed above the cause disappear when they hit water. Optimizations for the bonus part upgrade. This is the huge thing. This is massive, and I'm not going to go over it again. I've already gone over this before, but long story short, the idea is that many of the when you fused an item, there are many fusions that were considered worthless. People absolutely specced out of them 100% of the time. You just refused until you got something else because they're trash. This is their effort to dick over every single player in the fucking game. Sorry, I don't mean to come at you so raw, but every single player that has a fused item, you're fucked, because you don't have these new fusions that replaced the worthless fusions, and these new fusions are ridiculous. So, barrel spool time 35% replaced on the Miller, for example. Let's see here. Where's a couple of good ones? Tempest and Whirl. Get rid of your recoil, but get rate of fire 10%. This is a 10% DPS increase. Just so we're clear, this is not on the same fusion path as the 5% damage. So you can get 5% damage and 10% rate of fire. That is a 10% damage buff, just so you know. Like rate of fire 10% on Gravistars and shotguns. Every shotgun that you have fused, it's wrong. You fucked up. What you should have done was have a shitty shotgun so that you got 10% more damage today. You don't have that now. Goblin, Gremlin, etc. Yeah, all fucked. They replaced the blast radius nerf to all cannons if you had fused cannons, because blast radius increase has been replaced with penetration ability. For a couple of these, this is useless. The Executioner and the Prosecutor both have their own penetration perk, and their penetration is at 30% or some low ass number, and the amount of bullet damage that they do is also low. So 20% is effectively nothing. They're just taking away your blast radius increase and replacing it with nothing. Tsunami Typhoon get a 20% increase as well. If you have it fused, I'm trying to rack my brain. I think it sits at 70% now. So it will go to 84% or something. That gets it closer to what it was back when the Tsunami and Typhoon were actually the very first cannons to have any level of penetration mechanics and were tested for a year. So good on those guns, but nerf to these guns, buff to these guns. Avalanche, irrelevant. Actually, not irrelevant. You kind of want that blast damage, but whatever. Recoil is improved with spread. Little Boy Elephant, basically your turreted cannons. Spread has been replaced with stability. Spread stability is all of the stuff with spread at the same time. The Nagul, which is the auto cannon, 3-shot auto cannon, damage now also affects blast as well. Replace blast increase with penetration, which is silly. Replace rotation speed with range. Replace speed. I have no idea. Wait, replace rotation speed with range. What? Anyway, speed increase with spread. Median. These are, again, all fusions. This is if you have an unfused weapon, none of this affects you. The median impulse from hit, it now has penetration. That's actually a huge buff because the median has like 50 or 60% penetration, so it actually doesn't penetrate very well. Yang Wang, replaced rotation speed with a rate of fire plus 25%. This is a hit or miss, to be honest. For a lot of Wang players out there, you kind of want that rotation so that you can get your Wang on target, if you catch my drift. But 25% more DPS is also pretty good for the Yang Wang, don't you think? This isn't reload speed. Rate of fire is how rapidly it poops out its little grenades. So that's still a pretty big buff. All grenade launchers, screw rotation speed, you get 10% more damage. Wasp, rate of fire, 25%. So now the perfect fusion of the cricket is no longer reload speed, durability, reload, and I forget what the third one used to be. I think it was like spread increase or whatever. Yeah, no, you want that fire rate increase to make them relics again. And so on and so forth. I'm not going to go over all of these. Impulse sprint increased to 30%. Yeah, so basically this fusion thing came in. It's just ridiculous. I can't even with all of this. So, like, you've got a whole, like, the amount of changes, and they also, like, how do I put this? This feels like they're trying to distract us from this shit. The fact that they just made us all broke. They're like, by the way, surprise, surprise, assholes, you're all broke. None of you got this. Do you have this? No, you don't. That's going to be everything you own in exchange for one more energy on all your builds. Oh, by the way, blah, 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 blah. It's just crazy shit. Improved collision models, vehicle position and synchronization, so hopefully we don't get stuck on invisible walls. They said they fixed that before they didn't. And it looks as though there are also interface upgrades, sounds, miscellaneous, random bug fixes. If there was anything useful, I would hopefully see it. Nope. Alright, so what do you guys think? Do you think Crossout's ruined yet? To be honest, like maybe I'm just tired, or maybe I'm just salty. I'm not 100%, but this is terrible. This is a horrible update. This is a very, very bad update. Like, wow, they're nerfing everything that I liked, and they're buffing everything I hate. They're making everyone who spent all their time getting a hold of Apollo just slapping you in the face, because Apollos aren't even used in crafting this Odin generator. It's Thors, and the only way to get Thors are you have to have them. You gotta already have them in your pocket. That's the only way you get a Thor. Still wins. How do you craft them? Oh, you gotta have them in your pocket. Get those in your pocket. Oh, you don't have them in your pocket? You don't have them in your pocket? Hate to see it. Like, it's ridiculous. Nerf Griddia legs directly in addition to the movement part changes. So now you can no longer use claw wheels with legs, so your energy weapons can't get buff off of that. Fair enough. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But yeah, how do you guys feel? I don't know. Honestly, should there be a useless fusion? No. But should the refusion that they're coming out with be better in every way, shape, and form than the current fusion? That's the issue that I have with that. It should be on par. It shouldn't be better. It just is better. Like, seriously, 10% more damage on retchers, 10% more damage on most of your guns, 10% damage on all shotguns. It's like, yeah, have you ever considered just doing 10% more damage? Well, why didn't you think of that? You should have done that. No. You should just do 10% more damage. Like, that's great. In addition to that, you can also get that with a damage perk of 5% actual damage. So 10% rate of fire, 5% actual damage. It's crazy. It's a whole new world out there. There's a massive difference now. If you have a perfect, the new perfect fusion is probably going to be durability, damage, and rate of fire, by the way, for those of us who don't know. Because, or in the instances of cannons, it could be durability, reload, and penetration, depending. But anyway, yeah, so this is pretty interesting. It's not interesting. It's pretty, I personally don't like it. But haven't played with it, so maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But this feels like a bad change because I kind of been meaning to talk about this for a while, and I don't mean to use this video to do it, but as a veteran player of Crossout, and yeah, I know this is supposed to be a update for Rise of the Machines, but I'm going to rant anyway. I feel like I'm getting burnt out at this game. Now, why? Honestly, it's because they've gone to the point where there's just too much shit in the game. There's too much shit. You can't keep up. Even with paying money, you can't keep up anymore. Like, it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Do you have a job? Do you go out and work for a living? Here, hold on a second. Fuck you. You should be in Crossout, fucking grinding away, trying to get, like, more scrap or more whatever the fuck, event currency, just doing all this shit. This is what you should be doing. It's like, wait, hold on. I got a job, man. Like, I got a job in a real life. I do not have time to produce all this stuff, reproduce all of my previous stuff, refuse all of my previous stuff. Like, I understand, by the way, just so we're on the same page, there's a fusion event going on as I say this. So if you have the opportunity to refuse your stuff, now may be the time. But, like, where are you supposed to get all this stuff? Where am I supposed to get all this time? Where am I supposed to get double Stillwind, double Thor, right? Where are you supposed to get it? I don't know. Like, you can't, like, it's like, just earn coins and buy it on the market. No, like, there's a finite supply, guys. Like, what are you doing? And but also, you won't be generating natural resources because you're going to be generating event currency. You're going to be doing all these stupid event modes. It's ridiculous. In addition to this, you got to redo all your builds. Like, oh, so I got to redo all my builds. By the way, there's also still a current event ongoing. The monthly battle pass is still ongoing. And in the previous, since that battle pass has come out, we've already undergone 2 sub-events, as well as, I'm pretty sure, a Rocket League game. I'm like, it's hard to tell. There's too much shit happening in Crossout at this point. There's too much. The devs need to slow the fuck down because they're going too fast, and they risk burning out the people who actually play the game. Like, I play the game pretty regularly. I mean, if you guys have ever seen me stream back in the day, I still play it about that same rate, which is a lot. But even I can't keep up with this. Like, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that shoving Crossout to the goddamn brim with this garbage, whether it's events or microtransactions or anything of this, is good for the game? Like, all it feels like is the game is going too fast. If a new player joins, they're going to be behind immediately when they log in. That's a given because, you know, you get people rolling around with relics and shit, but of course they're going to be behind when they log in, but they're going to be way behind insofar as that they've got several events ongoing at the same time that they have to freaking sort out. They've got to spend their engineer badges in the freaking store in order to get their stuff by the January 14th. You've got to refuse all your relics. You've got to refuse all your legendaries. You got to refuse. Like, it's crazy. It is legitimately crazy. And by the way, at this point, like, fuse your sledgehammers. What? Why would I say that? Because fused sledgehammers are going to outperform maces. Standard base maces are going to get destroyed by fused sledgehammers now. Like, because you can get, like, much lower power score, effectively the exact same gun. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. There is far too much shit going on. There's far too much too many things to be getting. There's far too much junk in the game. They just obsoleted every single build in the game for every single player at the same time as obsoleting every fusion in the game for every single player. At the same time, they've also, released new maps and thrown on multiple different game modes as well as an ongoing battle pass, as well as obsoleting a good, I'd say, 20% of players' builds, as well as, that's just I think there's one other thing. Other than that, because I'm falling behind, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, that's just too much stuff. I feel it's just too much stuff. Call me old-fashioned, but I think it's just too much stuff. So leave your comments below. Let me know if you guys are having trouble keeping up with this cavalcade of bullshit. if you're having trouble like me, let me know so I know I'm not alone. All right, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. Peace.